Hello, welcome to Fuck Your Sign Live. We're doing a little call-in show today, just having people kind of checking out our live streams, the first one, so we're just kind of getting used to things. We want to have people calling in, some of our friends and loved ones, to just ask questions, say hi, ask some questions about astrology, etc. Yeah, it's going to be a fun little sesh.
Yes. So we invite you to ask any questions you want, and we will answer them the best we can.
Yes, and also if you do have a question but can't call, just feel free to comment in the little live stream. Maybe you want to ask our opinion on a sign or a house or a planet. Just comment and we can, just talk about it and see what's up.
Yeah, and if you want to call in, just go ahead and DM us, and we will provide you the information you need, and you'll be on the phone with us.
Yes, and all of the 20 people listening will be able to hear what's going on. I'm just kidding. So, I don't know, how's Libra season going so far for you?
It's been pretty good so far. I haven't noticed a huge change, except for maybe it's a little colder outside.
Okay, I feel that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like personally for me, Libra season so far has been a lot better than Virgo season because there's so many planets in Libra now, and that's a lot better for my Aries energy.
Yeah.
Whereas all the Virgo that was happening was really stressful and very I don't know,
Yeah, I will say the beginning of Virgo season versus the beginning of Libra season has been completely different for me.
Mm-hmm.
Virgo beginning of it was so stressful, but this has been some smooth sailing so far.
Mm-hmm. I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's good. I got a job in Libra season, so that's nice.
Hell yeah. That's funny. That's very Virgo or Capricorn season vibes.
Yeah,
to me.
true. Very true.
Yeah. But I mean,
And let's welcome our favorite Virgo, CJ.
Hello, welcome CJ.
What's up, guys?
CJ, how's Libra season treating you?
Libra season. Today was a good day, so I would say we're off to a good start.
Okay.
Nice. Aw. Thank you, Brandon Ty. He says, I love you.
Oh, I love him.
Here, I'll put this in the middle so we can post.
Okay. Hi, Brandon. My favorite. One of my favorite Sages. Sag Capricorn cusp, legend. Except he has Leo rising. I'm kidding. That's not a bad thing. Oh my god. So what's the tea?
What is the tea?
Yeah. I told you to. Okay. What should we talk about in the meantime while we're waiting for friends to call?
I don't know. What do you want Libra season to bring for you?
Ironically enough, I want stability. Libra season is not about stability in general, but I feel as though I am, especially with such a lack of earth in my chart, I'm not a stable person. I'm not good at routines or kind of getting things going. So I kind of want to be more grounded and stuff and more chill.
Yeah, that's a good goal. I think I kind of want a similar thing. Since moving, I haven't found quite the flow yet, and so hopefully that'll happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like in Instagram lives, there's always this nice little settling moment.
It's so interesting to me. I've never done anything live. I don't know how to act.
I got onto Lizzo's live yesterday, and she had just gotten on, and she was just sitting there, all awkward. And I was like, "Yep, that's gonna be me tomorrow."
I love her. Okay,
we've got a call.
We have a caller. Amazing work. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Who is this?
Hello.
Oh my God, Elijah.
Yeah, oh my
you
God.
Legend. Hi, welcome.
Fancy seeing you here. Oh my God.
Hi.
Oh my God, it's been a minute.
Oh my God. Hi, how are you? What's the tea?
The tea is brewing currently, but she's there.
Okay.
I have a question for you both.
Okay, what's your question?
Okay.
What is your guys' most favorite and least favorite placements in your chart?
Ooh, I like that question. Okay, let me think. Most favorite? Okay, so Elijah wants to know what our most favorite and least favorite placement is in our charts.
Hmm.
Okay, do you want to go or?
I kind of have an idea of mine since we kind of touched base on it this
Okay.
last episode.
Okay.
I think personally my favorite is having a Virgo moon because
Okay.
with my Leo sun I get really impulsive.
Mm-hmm.
And so having that earth sign to ground me a bit
Mm-hmm.
is definitely helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know about my least favorite. I like being a Leo, but I think sometimes it makes my life pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I could see that.
Oh my god. Okay, I think I have mine personally. Okay, it's funny that Elijah, you would ask this question because you have the same placement that's my least favorite.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, I think you know the one. Okay, so my favorite placement I think would have to be my Pisces Jupiter. And I feel like that's kind of like might sound weird because like Jupiter is like more of like an outward planet, but first of all, like in traditional astrology, Jupiter rules Pisces, the sign. So that energy is already very like in line with each like itself, and like Pisces and Jupiter is all about like growth, expansion, like looking outwards at stuff instead of like it's like more big picture, I guess. And I think my Pisces Jupiter is kind of what gives me more of an artsy side and allows me to be a little bit more like spiritual and like into astrology and kind of like I don't know like my meditation bullshit and like yoga or whatever. Like I feel like it kind of gives me that vibe. And then my least favorite placement is my Aquarius Venus. Elijah, you can relate.
God, I hate her so much.
No, she's literally horrible. The thing about like Aquarius Venus is that since Aquarius is a sign that is very like, I don't know, kind of like isolated, distant, awkward at times, having that in Venus, or having that like as my Venus placement is a little bit shaky sometimes because I'm not necessarily the best with guys. Like I'm kind of like awkward when I try to show affection or I try to like flirt. And also Aquarius Venus people are really known for like ghosting people, not with malicious intent, but like we just kind of flop in that department. So I don't know. It's like not my favorite. What about yours?
Oh my god. Oh god. Well, for least favorite, it would be like a tie between the Aquarius and Venus. I don't like my Pisces moon because I'm a Capricorn sun and a Scorpio rising.
Okay.
So like to the outward world, I'm very like kind of emotionally cut off.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, I have like I'm the most fun bitch. It's very bad. It's so my life, and like I don't know, I'm being an Earth sign and having a Scorpio rising, which is like my favorite. I love coming off as sort of just like cut off from that part of me.
Yeah, wait. I love that. Wait, no, yeah.
She's very much there.
Two of like my best friends, they both have Scorpio rising, and like I think it's funny because they aren't like on the inside very Scorpio vibes, but they come off a little bit more like edgy, like powerful, mysterious, like I don't know. Scorpio energy is very interesting to me, especially because like Scorpio is very similar to Aries in a sense. It's kind of like opposites, but like opposites not necessarily attract, but you know what I mean? Like they're both very intense, very like honest and blunt, very passionate. There's like a lot of energy. It's just kind of like ooh. It's just kind of like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for taking my call.
Oh my god,
Thank
of course. Thank you for
calling.
calling, you legend. You're the first
Oh
one.
my god.
Wait, I did not hear that last part.
You guys have a good rest of your day, okay?
Thank you.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
was so fun.
That was fun.
Oh my God, Elijah
Success.
is a legend. I love him. He's gonna move to LA soon.
Oh, nice. How'd you meet him?
He's good friends with one of my best friends, Brandon, from home. Or I was roommates with Brandon, and we became best friends. And Elijah and Brandon were from like the same hometown.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's a small world moment there.
Kinda, yeah, right? I don't know. But yeah, he's also very into astrology.
Cool.
We've bonded a lot about it and like other like artsy things, I guess.
Fun.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
That was a good question though.
That was a good question.
Oh,
Who we got now?
is somebody calling? What's going on? I hear no.
Is it a personal call?
That's so funny that he asked that though. I hate him because like that was a good question.
Did he know
like,
that about your chart, that you guys have the same thing?
Yeah, we've talked about
Okay.
it before. But I was gonna say like I was thinking about talking about that on like another episode of Fuck Your Sign.
Oh, yeah.
But like he's just so intuitive. We share a brain, I guess.
That's funny.
That's so funny to me. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like based on I can't with my Aquarius Venus. Like I feel like naturally all my Aries energy makes me very like social and like able to navigate those situations, but then when it comes to like guys, I'm like a flop. And like
Damn.
I'm just I don't know. It's like I can be so like casual and like normal around like everyone except for like guys.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That does make sense with your placement and like that. But outwardly, like with friends and stuff, or at least. Oh, are we getting a call? Anyway.
I was like, what? Okay, let me think. Just kind of like piggybacking off of Elijah's question, like favorite placement, least favorite placement. What's like a weird placement to you, like of you in your chart, like one that isn't necessarily like you like or you dislike, but you just like you can like see it or like.
Oh, I think it's weird. My Scorpios and Mars.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's just too much of it in one place. You know?
Especially that like linking up with like your Gemini rising.
Yeah.
You have Gemini rising, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then Virgo moon. That's like different energy, but like Gemini plus Scorpio plus Leo.
Oh my God. Yeah.
All of that is a little bit chaotic
It
in my
is.
opinion. And not in a bad way, just like
It's a lot though. I've got a lot of those like kind of problematic signs happening. And so, yeah, picking up on them is interesting.
yeah, I don't know. For me, I feel like it'd be I feel like one placement, I mean, I have like a lot of Aries placements, but one of them in particularly, like I like most of them, but I think one in particular I'm not necessarily I am a fan of, but I'm also not, is my Saturn in Aries. Because it's like Saturn is all about like restrictions, responsibilities, like authority, like boundaries and stuff. And like my Saturn being in Aries kind of makes me against the grain, like rebellious and stuff, which is why I always got in trouble like as a child and stuff or whatever. And like it's kind of nice to me, in my opinion, to like have a certain relationship with authority where it's like a little bit more like I don't give a fuck, or like I'm like going against the grain, like I don't care about societal expectations or whatever, but like at the same time that doesn't make it any easier.
You're like, I just want my life to be a little easier.
Yeah, like must be nice to have like some earth in your chart.
Yeah.
Can't relate, like I don't know.
Do you have any earth in your chart?
I do, but it's like really not relevant.
Dang.
Like it's like the tiny. I can't. I don't know. Like we're getting. Oh my god, we're getting a call again. Oh my god. Hello.
Hello, what's up, you guys?
Hello,
Hi.
Brandon Ty. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Doing
We're just
good.
streaming, living, learning. How are you? What's the
Really,
tea?
really perfect. Love to hear it. Yeah, I've been watching you guys.
Oh
I
my
love the
goodness.
production. I think the lights are super cool. Adds to the
Nice.
mystical stuff of everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, so shout out Brand.
Yes.
Yeah, so I had
true.
a quick question. I had a quick question for you guys.
Yes.
Okay.
I saw in the stream that someone else also said that, just like me, not too well versed in astrology. What is your advice, or like what like apps or like what
blogs do you guys recommend to people that are like interested in astrology but don't really know where to start?
Okay.
Ooh,
Anything like
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question.
So I personally, this sounds head ass, but like I personally think that Twitter like accounts are like a really good resource to kind of just start, because it's like, for me, following astrology accounts on Twitter has kind of allowed like a consistent amount of information to just kind of like enter like my mind every day, because like I'm always scrolling through Twitter, like I'll see little things here and there, and that kind of just like over time builds up and sits with me. Like, for example, like the other day I saw something about Gemini ruling the nervous system in your body or something, because like apparently the signs are supposed to have certain interactions with your physical,
That's
like
right. I've heard that too.
attributes and stuff too. I also think books, like articles online, are really good. But I mean, I haven't really like been a fan of reading most of my life, but I really like starting to like read physical like paper books about astrology. There's this one called Understanding the Birth Chart that I'm reading right now. And I think that's a really good resource. And just like, I don't know, it depends, because there's certain websites and apps that are really popular. Like everyone knows about CoStar and stuff,
Yeah,
and
I
like
was gonna
it's
mention
really,
that.
I think I like CoStar for like the social aspect of it, seeing my friends' charts and like having them on the application. But some of it is like not the most accurate. I mean, I know the house system is kind of weird for them. They use like certain things that aren't necessarily super accurate. So like I wouldn't trust CoStar to the T about like information and
Yeah,
like
I wouldn't continue your knowledge of astrology with CoStar, but I don't know, as an introduction, it can be helpful, but then back it up with some things that are maybe a little more reliable and things like that.
There's this one website I really like called astro.com. That one is known and like revered by most astrologers, like professional ones, to have the most accurate times, like the most accurate like calculations and stuff like that. There's so many resources. You can look at like sidereal charts and stuff and different like it's just the most accurate in my
Yeah.
opinion. That's the one I trust the most. I like Cafe Astrology too, but there's certain things on there that I also know aren't the most accurate, or that's what I've heard. But Cafe Astrology is good for like descriptions of certain placements. Like if you want
Yeah.
to know more about your Capricorn moon, then you could like go onto Cafe Astrology, and like the description generally I feel like is
Yeah,
pretty
pretty concise and quick
concise and like
accurate.
detailed.
And, yeah, I would say so too.
Yeah. Do you have any questions about like your own chart or like your own, I don't know, like how
Yeah, I think in the past you've definitely given me the full analysis. So I think I'm pretty set on my own chart.
Yeah, that's true. I never shut up about
Yeah, so
astrology with
if you guys ever have any questions on astrology, you simply just message Stefan or Mila, and he gives very, very good rundown. So yeah, thank you for taking my question.
Thank you
so
for
much for
calling.
calling.
Miss you.
Yeah, of course. Miss you too. Bye guys. Good luck.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
So that was Brandon.
That was fun.
He was my roommate my freshman year and second year in school, and he is how I knew Elijah, who was the
Okay.
first person who called.
That's funny. Nice.
Yeah, Brandon is. I know some of his chart. I know he also has a Virgo moon.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which I think is funny because he's very outgoing and very social, because he is a Sag sun, but he has Virgo moon to kind of keep him grounded. He's very detail oriented and hardworking. And then I know he's Leo rising, but he also has some like Aquarius
I
placements
feel like
in there.
that's a pretty nice chart, I'd say.
He has balance. He doesn't have very much water though, kind of like
Oh,
me, which is
yeah.
probably why we get along. But I don't know. Yeah.
Nice. Do we have any questions from the live at all? No? Cool.
So,
Well, these call-ins have been fun.
yeah, it's weird to like hear people in here and then like know that they're being heard like on the stream too. Like
True.
it's so interesting to me. I don't know. But yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I've never done live stuff before. I'm just like, what? Like I don't know.
I agree.
I'm kind of scared, but like you
Yeah.
know, like it's like a rush. Like I don't know.
It's like Skype, but not.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like Skype, except it's nothing like Skype at all. Oh my god.
I was interested in the body parts thing that you brought up because I had only recently seen that with a few things like on, I think it was maybe Sanctuary World has like a page, and they posted about that. I saw that the Leo body parts, the heart, and
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I feel like that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember any other ones. That's me being so tied up in myself because I'm a Leo.
Okay. No, I mean, yeah, it's like there's different elements to it too. Like I have been reading recently about how one's like rising sign, sun sign as well, but a little bit more rising sign affects their physical appearance.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's how you're outwardly.
Exactly. And it's really interesting. And I honestly think like, I mean, from the videos that I've watched and like the things that I've read, it makes a lot of sense and you can see it. Like one way a lot of people will do it is they will take celebrities and be like, okay, like Lizzo. I think Lizzo is like I know she's a Taurus, but I'm pretty sure she has Leo rising. And I think one of the videos I watched was like, oh yeah, like Leo rising has like this, like big eyes or something, or like this trait. And like, here's a picture of Lizzo to kind of like describe that or like demonstrate that. Yeah. But there's also like internal effects too. Like for example, this book that I was reading, I believe the one that was called Understanding the Birth Chart. It said that like Cancer energy is really supposed to influence like, and it makes sense, but it's like kind of like any like fluids in your body, like water, which makes sense because Cancer is all about like water and like the moon and the ocean and stuff. But like it's kind of supposed to like be aligned with like.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, like the nervous system or something.
Yeah, like I think Gemini was about the nervous system, and like this one astrology account on Twitter that I follow talked about her personal experience and how she has Gemini moon, I think. Oh,
a call.
Someone's calling. Who is calling? Hello.
Oh,
or just kidding. Wait, Brant's taking a call.
Brand's so popular.
Sorry, he's literally so popular. Yeah, I think this girl I was following on Twitter, she was talking about how her Gemini moon is kind of like linked to the nervous system. Oh, we do have a call.
Yes.
Okay. Hello.
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 Is this Huey?
Huey.
This is long-time listener, first-time caller.
How are you?
I am so good. I just picked up a case of White Claw.
Oh, okay, I see you.
So it's getting better by the minute.
Your day's going well.
Yeah.
Oh
Things
God.
have never been better. How are you two?
We're good.
Doing
We're
good.
just streaming out here, talking about the stars, astrology, signs, planets, etc.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy.
Yes, I love your podcast, by the way. I was serious when I said I'm a listener. I'm a big fan.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks so
Oh my
much.
God, you're a legend.
And I do have a question, actually.
Awesome.
Okay. What is your
Yeah.
question?
Mhm. So I have this app called CoStar. I know that you know it.
Yes.
And it talks about like rising signs, and it like matches you up with, you know, a significant. It'll give you like your compatibility with like of another person,
Right.
based on that. And I just want to know what you thought about like the compatibility part of it. Do you think that is a real thing?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe, to my understanding, CoStar bases most of its compatibility on elements. So, for example, if let's say I know your sun sign is Capricorn, which is an Earth sign. So it's going to say that it's most likely going to say that you're compatible with any other Earth sign or a water sign. Because like Earth and water tend to be more compatible with each other. Fire and air tend to be more compatible with each other. However, there are a few exceptions. Like I believe on CoStar, like if you have like a fire sun like me, and then you compare that and look for compatibility with like an earth sun, it might not necessarily say it's bad. It's just kind of like average.
Yeah.
It depends on which sign too. For example, like I don't know, Aries and Capricorn compatibility might be like okay versus because like there's a lot of like independence and drive there that's shared, but then like versus Aries and Virgo, not so much compatibility.
Right.
I think that's what that is based on. But I do also think that like compatibility does not just boil down to elements. Like I think you could have like Sagittarius and Aquarius are technically supposed to be compatible on paper because of like the elemental fire and air compatibility. But
Right.
I would argue that like Aquarius is more compatible with like I don't know, maybe Pisces in a way because they're both very about like big picture. Aquarius is more about like humanitarian group things, whereas Pisces about like kind of like existential, like spiritual stuff. So I think it really comes down to like individual signs. Like I don't think like element is your like the element is going to determine like whether or not it's compatible. I think that's kind of a very surface level look at it, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think the to see how compatible you are, you kind of have to go through a good amount of the chart, not just like the elements or your rising or sun sign, and see how the whole chart itself is compatible. See if things balance out with the person, and things like that. I feel it's not everything, but it kind of gives you a little look into how you might interact with that person, I think.
Right, because like say you and another person are both earth signs because that's your sun sign, but then like the rest of your chart is air and the rest of their chart is like earth. Then it's kind of like you still might be a little bit more like air vibes, air energy, whereas that person might be like way more grounded and way more like stable. So even though like your sun sign might be compatible, the rest of your chart like could very well not be. Especially like Mercury is an important planet in my opinion because that's all about communication.
That's true.
So like if I have like my Mercury is in Aries and if I'm talking to somebody whose Mercury is in Cancer, you know, I might be a little bit more aggressive and like a little bit more dominating just because like that is this Aries Mercury is all about like quick talking and like being loud and aggressive and like arguing and stuff, whereas Cancer Mercury might be more like soft and like I'm baby vibes and like very like, you know, ooh woo, like so it's like it's a lot more about like your chart as a whole rather than just your sun sign or like even the elements between planets.
Yeah, that's a good description of that.
Yeah.
What, in your opinion, is the most important for compatibility? Like in terms of Mercury or Sun, or do you have one? It's okay if you don't.
Are we thinking in terms of a relationship or like a friendship? Or like
let's say relationship.
Okay. I think compatibility for a relationship, I think the most important planet would probably be Venus. Also, arguably, maybe the moon. Mercury is probably up there too.
I think those three pretty much encapsulate what can make or break a relationship. So I agree with that.
Yeah, because Venus is obviously about partnerships, beauty, love, stuff like that. Whereas I feel like Mercury and the moon kind of facilitate that energy. So like you guys could have similar Venus, like you guys could have the same Venus sign, or like the same, your Venus is in the same sign. But then if your Mercury and your moon placements are totally different, that could interrupt that energy or kind of like impact it in a negative way because you might be able to look at a relationship the same way and know what you want in a relationship similarly, but communication could be really bad or your emotions could really not line up. So I think like Venus is probably the most important one, but I would say Moon and Mercury are like a close second. I don't think your sun necessarily needs to be the same.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I've definitely have many friendships with a bunch of different people, and that's a different thing in its own, but I don't really think it plays too much into relationships and stuff.
Yeah.
Venus, the moon, and Mercury. All right, I'm going to go look back at my chart now.
Yes, good call.
Awesome. Those were like my two biggest questions, but I love everything you guys have to say. Yeah, I think it's so important
Awesome.
to understand these things. So.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate
Thank
that.
you,
Thank
Huey.
you.
Yeah, well, thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
Very sweet.
It's nice to see you here.
Yeah, I'm going to be down. Side note, I'm coming to LA soon,
When?
so I can't wait to hang out. I'll be moving back down in December.
Oh, you're moving here.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Everyone from our old store is moving down to LA. I love that.
Yeah, we're all making. You guys left here just trend set, so we need to follow you now.
Please do. We need to reunite everyone.
Start your own store.
Yeah.
Literally.
Recreate our store down there.
Oh my, we all just work at the same store. I can't.
Yeah.
For people, okay, for everyone listening, we all met by working at an Apple store, basically. I mean, like me and Brant and Huey.
Oh, and that's how I met you guys.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I know you through Brant, through
Yeah.
Apple. So it's like
It's pretty funny.
fun little collab.
Woo woo, Apple Store. I know, way too much hype around that. I meant whoop whoop, Apple Store.
We're gonna get in trouble.
I know. Here comes the write-up.
Literally. Oh my god. Well, thank you for calling, Huey. We
Yeah,
really
thank
appreciate
you.
it. And you guys really good questions too.
You did.
Oh, thank you. And I look forward to hearing the podcast from this week. It's, the rest of it, myself now.
Literally.
It's gonna be tight. All right, you too.
We'll hear from you soon.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, my heart. I love
Huey.
him. I haven't seen him in so long.
Those were good questions, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to think of I don't know, compatibility is weird to me.
That would be a good one to do a full episode on.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like we could even do more. It depends, on how detailed we want to go, with, I don't know, because, I really don't personally think your sun sign matters that much when it comes to compatibility, because,
No.
I am, this crazy, fire-heavy, person, but then I have so many, my best friends are, more water and earth, I think. I have a lot of Cancer friends. I have a lot of Virgo friends. I don't know. But it's, also those people definitely have some fire in their chart.
Yeah.
But, it's just interesting. I don't know. I think your sun sign, you don't have to be the same person at the core to,
Right.
get along with people and,
Yeah. I mean, that's the fun part about having friends is you can bounce off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But this has been really fun so far.
Yeah, it's super cool to have people call, especially people that I haven't heard from in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what was
I
that?
keep
I thought
hitting
that
the
was the cat.
microphone.
I really thought that was the cat for a second. Oh my goodness.
Okay, well, we are going to take one more caller. So if anyone has any questions.
Anyone wants to come through, hit our line. Oh my goodness.
Call us on our cell phone.
What was the other question that he was asking about in terms of
There's compatibility and then co-star, right?
yeah, but I had some tangent in my mind about co-star that he was talking about.
That it goes off of the elements? Or he was saying they go off the rising sign.
Oh yeah, which was interesting to me because I don't think co-star compares. Well, I know obviously your rising sign determines your houses, duh.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think co-star in the compatibility section compares and contrasts rising sign. So I know it talks about moods and emotions, obviously the moon. Thinking and intellect or something and intellect, which is Mercury, and then I know it does basically sun, moon, Mercury, Mars, Venus, Jupiter Saturn,
Hmm.
I believe. Because one of them is like limitations and responsibilities, which is obviously
Okay,
Saturn.
yeah.
And then another one is like growth and expansion, which is Jupiter.
I mean, those are good things to know for a relationship.
Yeah, and I honestly think that like, I don't know. I think that like, despite the sun, moon, rising, Mercury, Venus, Mars being like probably the most core to who you are, like I think Jupiter and Saturn like do have like a big impact as well. Just kind of like more like omniscient, like looming over, kind of like not necessarily like I don't know how to describe it, but like I can definitely see my Aries Saturn like jump out sometimes when I like don't want to listen to people or like hate being told what to do, or like I can definitely see like my Pisces Jupiter. I don't know. And like the outer planets like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto definitely have like a smaller impact. That's more like, I mean, it's also more generational because their orbits are bigger, so they stay in that sign for longer. Like we all definitely have Sag and Pluto.
Yeah.
Pluto and Sag, Jesus. So I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know. And then the houses, Jesus Christ. That's a whole nother, that's a whole nother live
segment.
stream, a whole nother episode. Degrees, fucking, oh my God. It's like beyond, because like, I don't know. I've only really been into like, not aggressively, I guess, but like very into astrology for like,
It's just the Aries, and you have to dedicate.
literally like, oh my God, I'm a psychopath. I've only really been into astrology for like about 2 years. And every single like time I learn something new about it, I just get into it more. I believe it more. Like there's so much detail that goes into it. Like how, like when people are like, oh, like what's your sign? And then I'm like Aries, and they're like, oh, so you're blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, okay, but like, can you
but
tell
then
me
there's,
about
like,
like
other
all my
things.
like squares and like oppositions and like sextiles or whatever, like which is like
it is.
like the degrees between planets in orbit when I was born, like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like
There's
which
a
is,
lot
like,
that goes into it.
yeah, but
Right.
which is like what like one of the things that excites me, because like obviously I don't know everything. Like I'm not some like astrology god or anything. I'm just like invested in it and I like learning about it. So I feel like as we continue to work with like Fuck Your Sign, we're gonna be able to learn more with like our audience and like the people who like want to like
something
comment.
I'm super excited about is being able to learn from it, because I've grown up with astrology, but honestly haven't gotten super into it. Like I've only recently, like in maybe last year, have started to invest time in researching nodes and all the squares and aspects and stuff like that. Oh, it's
We're getting a call.
hello.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Who is this?
Hey, this is CJ.
Hello,
Hi,
CJ.
CJ.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're doing good.
Very, very well.
So just a question. So let's say, what can I do if I'm not really too familiar with astrology and I kind of want to get interested or like get more involved? Like, what apps would you guys recommend, or just somebody who's new to everything
Ooh, okay.
New to everything.
as far as astrology goes?
Yeah. I think following some, honestly, some astrology meme pages will get you interested in it. And then going on to more reliable sources on the internet and reading more into like your chart and going over that kind of stuff will help you get into it and better understand it.
Yeah, I think like okay, first of all, meme pages are so goddamn funny.
They're
like,
so good.
They're so good. I feel like I'm being like dragged every single time I like look at a meme about Aries being annoying or something. But like, meme pages are a fun start, and like they honestly do provide a lot of context to a lot of stuff. I definitely think astro.com is great. I would just look up maybe some articles online, maybe about like specific placements you have. Like you want to know more about your like, I don't know, Pisces, Jupiter or whatever. Like look up what that means, or like your North Node, or just like certain placements, because that kind of will not only teach you about your own placement, but also what that planet or asteroid, etc., is ruling, what it's doing, how it's impacting you.
Yeah.
Also, YouTube is great. Like,
Yeah,
I
that's
watched
true.
a lot of like astrologers on YouTube who post content about like, oh, what can you expect from this month, or like, what can you expect from these signs, or like what can you like what in your chart is going to indicate like online fame, or like when will you meet your soulmate, stuff like that. It like gets crazy. Like, so I definitely think like YouTube is one of my favorite resources, because there's so much around on there.
Yeah, especially if you're already using YouTube, it's kind of an easier resource to go and just watch it like you would any other subscription. I think another, what place were we talking about that has a good place to look at your chart? Because a lot of places do it differently. Like sites.
Astro.com.
Astro.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I believe, yeah, personally.
So finding your chart and inputting it there, and then going off of that is a good way. Because you want to start with a reliable chart to then look over what you have in there.
Yeah, and you definitely want like accuracy. You definitely want a lot of like detail. You want to also be able to like visually see your chart, because I mean, it wasn't until like maybe 6 months ago that I actually knew how to read a birth chart. And it's ridiculously like detailed. Like it looks like some weird like
it's a spider web
Mayan like hieroglyph thing. Like when you first look at it, if you don't know what you're looking at, but having your chart like saved somewhere where you can just always access it and like look at it is really important. Astro.com, great for that. YouTube, 100% support. And like social media, like meme stuff, and like also just other accounts maybe on Instagram or Twitter that post like actual, not necessarily funny meme things, but more like, hey, this is what's going on, or like, hey, the moon is entering this sign, blah blah blah. Like that's one of my favorite ways about staying consistent and learning about astrology, because I'm always on social media, so it's kind of just consistent information coming in without me having to like reach for it or try super hard for it.
Yeah.
So I definitely think social media is a good resource too. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just kind of like consistent, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thank you for calling.
Of course. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Okay, great. So that was our last call for this month's show. We will be doing this monthly, and please call us with any questions you have next time. This has been a really fun time.
Yeah, it's really interesting to do like a live stream. I loved having people come in and like interact with us and call, and just getting to get some more information, pick our brains, we pick their brains, etc. We will be doing these shows monthly, the call-in ones, so definitely look out for our next post when we're going to be talking about like the next one. We definitely want to have like a lot of you guys calling in and just kind of like interacting with us. It's fun like having, because it's like normal podcasts is just like we're putting out stuff.
Right, but it's live, so we get to do it on the spot.
Exactly.